Houston, we have a problem.
That's right, and the problem is that many students improperly integrate their textual evidence when they write about literature, especially poetry. I'm Tim Freitas from the Garden of English, and I'd like to help you fix this problem.
I can fix it!
There are 3 super common mistakes that students make when integrating evidence into their poetry analysis essays. You might even realize that you're a culprit for more than one of these particular issues.
You got me.
Here they are. Well, number 1, students drop lines from poems into their essays and hope that these lines can stand on their own. They can't. And apparently, neither can Ozymandias' statue. Yikes, that was a bad joke. I'm sorry. Number 2, students try to integrate lines of poetry with their own language, but they just say things like, the poet says, the poet states, line blank reads, or the text reads. Number 3, students don't provide enough context, so it's hard for the reader to understand how the poems progress to the area of text that the student is directly trying to quote.
That's it. I'm done.
Luckily, these common errors are pretty easy to fix. So let's do it!
Do it!
For this video, I'm going to continue building on what I've already been doing with the poem Ozymandias. You can access the poem, prompt, and other video supports and materials that I've created right below this video in the description. And if you haven't watched the prior videos, you're going to want to. Also located right down there. You know, right by where the like button and the subscribe button is. Yeah, you should hit those. Also, for you AP Lit teachers, in the description, you can find a link to check out the Garden of English's new Lit support resource. It includes digital and print video notes guides, unit exams aligned with the AP Lit CED, practice tests, novel-based and specialty prompts, and a lot more. You can also check it out by clicking right up here. Anyway, I'm going to use the first topic sentence I wrote in my How to Write Poetry Topic Sentences video. And to remind you what this topic sentence looked like, along with my other topic sentences and my thesis for this essay, we're going to pop those up on the screen right about now. Alright, because the topic sentence references the literary and poetic elements of the first-person frame narrative and caesura, if you were writing this paper, you would have to now include textual evidence in this paragraph to prove that these elements actually exist in the poem. But if you were to just drop the lines where this happens right into your paper, you'd be in rough shape. Because you'd be dropping 2 full lines of poetry into a paragraph, and that's a huge mistake.
You're in big trouble, mister.
So you wouldn't want to do that. Instead, you'll want to integrate the text like this. First, to shift from your topic sentence to your evidence, you're going to start the second sentence of your body paragraph with one of the following phrases. For example, for instance, or take for example how. Immediately following whichever phrase you choose, you want to write language that will force you to provide context for the textual evidence that you want to incorporate into your paper. There are a few words and phrases that can help with this. If you're trying to quote from the first to third lines of the poem, you'll probably want to write either the word before or the phrase prior to. And if you're quoting anything after the first 3 lines of the poem, you'll want to write either the word after or the word following. Including all of the language that I just mentioned will help you not only establish a line of reasoning that projects your transition to providing evidence in your body paragraph, but it will also help you seamlessly integrate the text that you'd like to put into your essay right into that body paragraph. Let me model it for you here. Check out my example that's about to pop up on your screen. And feel free to pause it once it does pop up so you can see where I included the language that I have that's helped me integrate that textual evidence. Shelley begins by presenting a reflective first-person frame narrative and including multiple instances of caesura, suggesting the fractured structure of the sonnet symbolizes the present shattered state of the political monument and the break in time between its inception and the traveler's viewing. For example, before the speaker grants control of the narrative to the secondary traveler from an antique land, he pauses at the beginning of the forthcoming recollection, indicated by the extended dash. Then, at the onset of this secondary narrative, the aforementioned traveler generates another extended pause, mid-line, after describing the trunkless legs of stone that stand in the desert, where close by, half sunk, a shattered visage lies. You need to notice how because I integrated the word before, I had to say what contextually happened after the first line in the poem. The speaker grants control of the narrative to a secondary traveler. I included the text of where the first speaker indicates the traveler was from, and then I indicated the first instance of caesura by mentioning the em dash. By the way, caesura is just a pause in the middle of a line of poetry. If you didn't know, now you do. Because there was another instance of caesura immediately following this one, I continued to integrate the evidence where that is. This is seen by my using of the word then to indicate that I was going to move on to the next example, which shows up in the following line. No need for using the word after or before here. We're correlating it with the example I already put in. As I integrate my textual evidence, you'll notice that I choose short snippets of lines that I want to quote, and I always make sure to reference the punctuation that causes the caesura. That's because this was the poetic element that my topic sentence said I would focus on in this body paragraph. Now, my example does not provide commentary for this paragraph. That's for the next video. But this example does integrate quotes in a highly effective manner. In the document that includes this example that you can find in the description, I also integrate evidence for my second body paragraph. So if you were to look at both of my examples, you may notice that I use brackets at times. Brackets are used when you need to clarify something that may be ambiguous when you're quoting a text, but you're not allowed to actually just add words and do a quote. Brackets indicate that you have added a little to the text or you have changed it to match the tense of your own writing. There are a few other ways to use brackets as well, but I'll cover those in a sophistication video a little later on. And honestly, that's how you integrate textual evidence in poetry. You lead with language that indicates you're shifting towards an example. You provide some context for the quote that you want to put in your paper. You choose short quotes that match the topic of your topic sentence. And then you integrate them into your own words so that the sentence reads so well that you can't tell where your words end and the text begins, besides the fact that there are quotation marks surrounding it. And you consider using brackets if you need to match the lines of the poem with the tense or point of view that you're using as you write your essay. So now that you know what to do to integrate evidence, you need to go practice.
I'm talking about practice.
Then you got to make sure that you come back to the Garden of English so you can learn how to finish out your body paragraphs by producing commentary for your poetry response essay. You can learn how to do that by watching what's about to pop up on your screen.